Oh man, I really pissed off the Country Ball fanbase with that last video. I did not think they'd be that offended. I don't actually hate Country Ball comics, I just have a few problems with them. I shouldn't do anything like that again. But I also want to complain about stuff. What's a way I can complain without offending anyone? Self-deprecation. So, as like maybe a dozen of you know, I used to make a webcomic called When Pigs Fly. And it was not very good. So now I'm going to talk about it. The comic was about... I'm actually not really sure. I tried to introduce a lot of different stuff into the strip. Tried. In actuality, I just introduced characters, settings, and plot points, decided that I didn't like them, and forgot about them. But at the beginning of the strip, there were a few main characters. BLT, an anthropomorphic pig. Why an anthropomorphic pig? Because what's the hardest part of a human to draw? The hands. And what do pigs have? Hooves. AKA, not hands. But mostly they just acted like normal hands, but I didn't have to draw anything. Croc the sheep. Again, sheep have no hands. A deer I forget the name of. His name was never mentioned in the strip. Again, no hands. This doe, who again, I don't remember the name of. Snowball the cat, who was BLT's pet. I'd given Snowball her own strip before I ever thought about posting comics online. And it was kind of good that I didn't post them online, because they were even worse than When Pigs Fly. Some of the When Pigs Fly strips are just remakes of old Snowball strips. And even then, I remember thinking that most of the Snowball strips were not good enough to make into When Pigs Fly strips. And this is one of the ones that made it past that quality control. If my cousin, the lion, is king of the jungle, does that make me the court jester? So you can imagine how bad the other ones had to be. And Mudball the dog, who is Croc's pet. I'm not sure why the pigs, sheep, and deer are basically humans, but the dogs and cats are just their pets. Especially since the pets can clearly talk to the other animals. None of these characters had developed personalities, because I tried to add a ton of different stuff to the strip, and never actually bothered to develop the main characters' personalities. And I also did strips that had absolutely nothing to do with the main characters, or any established characters for that matter. I wasn't trying to introduce characters with them, they were just one-off jokes that I couldn't make with the actual characters. But anyways, let's look at the first storyline of this comic. What a beautiful day. What's happening? Nothing can ruin your day faster than losing the effect of gravity. What? This is seriously the first storyline of the comic. And the 17th strip. Snowball the cat loses the effect of gravity and floats off into space. And no, it is never explained how or why Snowball lost the effect of gravity. Anyways, he crashes into an alien spaceship, the aliens try to eat him, he escapes, gravity returns to normal, he falls down to the alien planet, the aliens try to invade Earth, Snowball stops them through the power of sheer incompetence, and then returns to Earth. And that's it. The aliens are never mentioned again, gravity reversing is never mentioned again, life just continues on as normal as if that entire storyline never happened. Well then, next strip, Beethoven's Fifth. Stupid hooves. A joke about the characters having hooves. Nice. Next strip, this little piggy went to the market. Keep going, big brother. That's it. This is no fun with hooves. Another joke about the characters having hooves. You couldn't have spaced them out just a little bit past me? They came out within 1 day of each other. 1 day. And I remember that I was working in advance, so I totally could have changed the order of the comics around. Next comic. You sure you should be chewing on that? Come on, humans are always feeding us paper. It's worthless to them. Oh man, this comic is awful. The art style is different from the rest of the comic. Why? Because before I made When Pigs Fly, I made another comic called Hamster Hazard. It had hamsters in it. That was it. For some reason, past me thought it would be a good idea to remake them and post them to When Pigs Fly. And by remake them, I mean blatantly copy and paste almost everything and only change the design of the hamsters, even though that makes it look very out of place. Next comic. I, Dr. Losers, have enhanced the brain of a chicken to that of a human being. Mwahaha. Maybe I need to turn it up a few notches. Ah yes, this guy, Dr. Loses. He very loudly proclaims his name in all of the early strips he's in, which is kind of odd considering that some of the actual main characters never have their names mentioned at all. Dr. Loses originally starred in his own strip, which was drawn in MS Paint. I'm glad past me realized that he could not get away with just copy-pasting those comics, but there's still no background, like, where's the floor? Also, I'm not sure why I made the comic have anthropomorphic animals when I was confident enough to draw a human this early on in the strip. But look at his hands, though those are not good hands. Come to think of it, how come the chicken had to have his intelligence artificially enhanced when other animals can already at least talk? I mean, even wasps and ants are shown to have human intelligence. And unlike the space aliens and anti-gravity, this mentally enhanced chicken actually ends up doing something. Not for another month, but shut up. First, there are a bunch of one-off joke comics. And now another storyline that's not even a week long, where they introduce a technology that never comes up again. Thanks to modern science, people have developed belts that give you superpowers. What power does that belt give you? It gives me teleportation. Oh hey, it's an alien again. He isn't doing anything, and we don't see him again after this, but at least he's there. More one-off comics. I think I probably should have just made a comic that was only one-off jokes with no characters, because that's pretty much what happened anyways. Oh nice, it's Dr. Loses again. At this point, he's more of a main character than the actual main characters. But once again, his storyline is only 2 comics long before I just made more one-off strips. I never explained what happened to his clone. The clones are never seen again in the strip. Oh nice, a retcon. I had originally planned for the animals to basically just be human, but easier to draw. But then for some reason I added humans and it got weird. So I guess I thought it would make more sense for them to just be animals, but they can talk, and they're in a petting zoo now. I tried to do a transition from basically humans living human lives in human houses to petting zoo animals, but it doesn't really make sense. And it just opens up a new plot hole when they stay in the zoo during the next winter. And also, it is very clearly not winter in some of the strips. I mean, there are wasps out, BLT is fishing, it's obviously not cold out. Also, the deer, doe, snowball, and mudball just stop being characters at this point. Anyways, here's a walrus and a polar bear. They have no names, because past me's attitude when it came to names was either don't give them a name, or say their name at every opportunity. No in between. Oh hey, Dr. Loses again. What happened to the clone? Same thing that happened to the alien invasion and the teleportation belt. I didn't have any more jokes about them, so they stopped existing. But now Chicken has been made invisible. The next strip has Dr. Loses trying to make Chicken visible again. Just kidding. There's almost an entire month of unrelated comics in between this one and this one. Now Chicken is the Hulk. Why is he the Hulk now? Obviously, it's a side effect of being turned visible. Shut up, it makes perfect sense. Now there are some more comics with the walrus and polar bear. Now you may assume that this is just another pointless diversion, but no. Chicken Hulk comes in and breaks the glass in their enclosure. How did Chicken Hulk escape Dr. Loses' lab? Why is he at the zoo? The world may never know because I did not think through my plot points in When Pigs Fly. Now the walrus is trying to escape the polar bear. And there's also an orca. How will he escape? Oh, the strip is on hiatus now. Well, while the strip takes its hiatus, place your bets on how the walrus will escape. Will Chicken Hulk save him? Will aliens abduct him? Will the polar bear lose the effect of gravity? Will Dr. Loses and Chicken's clones come in and do things? Will the walrus use a teleportation belt? Nope. The walrus escaped through the power of breaking the fourth wall. Yes, the walrus escaped while the strip was on hiatus. Don't ask why I thought that was funny and not just lazy writing. Oh hey, now there's an invisible person. Am I going to do anything with them in the future? Yes, 2 strips. And then I run out of ideas involving her. Next comic. Man, this one sucks. I meant for it to be a way to introduce that werewolf and witch as characters, but then I decided to not make them characters. So now there's just this awful strip that does absolutely nothing. Now there are some strips where the walrus is chasing an octopus and the polar bear chasing the walrus. And then Chicken Hulk comes in. But I somehow messed up when exporting the image and Chicken does not show up. Don't ask how I failed to notice that. And now the octopus is escaping his tank and jumping into the shark tank. Will he survive? Find out in the thrilling conclusion of... Oh, wait. He's in future strips, so I guess he survived, but I never showed him escaping the shark. Never mind. Oh nice, more with Dr. Loses. And Chicken is back to normal. Or maybe that's just Chicken's clone. I never really explained anything. Also, hands! And now I've introduced these renowned world-saving people. They were modeled and named after popular Minecraft Let's Players I liked at the time. Yeah, That's why one of them is wearing knight armor, while the other one is wearing a skirt. Even just a couple months later, I found that to be stupid, and they stopped being characters. Even though I'm kind of embarrassed by the whole basing characters off of Minecraft Let's Players thing, I really like the art and poses from these comics. Much better than the early strips. Remember when I said that Snowball stopped being a character? Well, actually, I wanted to bring her back into the strip, but she hadn't appeared in the strip for almost 8 months. So how do I explain bringing her back? Time travel, obviously. And no, I had never introduced time travel before that point. Oh, nice, Dr. loses again. And there's another world-saving person. And they aren't based on a Minecraft Let's Player. But this is the last we see of her anyways. I planned on doing more strips with Dr. Loses trying to destroy Ted's house, but I didn't make these comics in advance, and I was making them around the holidays, and I decided, I'll take Christmas Day off, I'll take Boxing Day off. Ooh, I should make a New Year's comic. And then I never finished that storyline. Now there are fairies from another universe declaring war on our universe, for 2 strips. Then that's it. I know I was planning to bring them back eventually, but I ended the strip before I could. Now some more one-offs. Now a strip where I try to introduce characters who live at the center of the earth. Spoiler alert, I don't go anywhere with this. Now there are some more one-off strips. And now the comic is over, and I decided to replace it with a new comic, Nifty Lemons. I only ever posted 1 strip to Nifty Lemons, and then I gave up. You may notice something different about the visuals in this video. Yes, that's right. The background is a different shade of gray.